Hello, welcome back to Behind the Faders, the live sound channel. Today I want to talk about mixing monitors, especially the difference between mixing monitors from front of house or mixing monitors from the side of the stage. So mixing only monitors. I guess nowadays if you start out you will be an apprentice in some company, and at some point you will start mixing small shows front of house, and you might have like maybe 2 or 3 monitor mixes to do from front of house. And now that company is doing a bigger show with 2 desks, and chances are you will be the one on the monitor desk, because I don't know if that still works that way, but when I started out in this business, the choice between who was doing front of house and who was doing monitors was pretty much done the same way that we used to pick a goalkeeper in school football. At least in my school, the goalkeeper was never the best goalkeeper. It was always the worst field player. So in order to get him out of the way, he became the goalkeeper. And in audio, at the beginning, it very often works the same way. So if there's 2 guys and somebody has to decide who's doing front of house and who's doing monitors, very often the guy who is considered the better sound engineer or the more experienced sound engineer will be mixing front of house. So you might find yourself at the monitor position all of a sudden on your first show with 2 desks. The desk setup. If you follow my recommendations when mixing monitors from front of house and have a separate layer of channels just for monitors, and you have a normal setup with floor wedges, then the setup is pretty much the same. You just don't have the front of house layer, and you have more mixes. And you set all your main channel faders on unity gain, and you mix all the monitor sends from there post fader. If you want to handle it a little bit more advanced, you can just put the musician who sends your signal on pre-fader. Meaning, if I'm working on a guitar channel, I send this guitar to everybody post fader, but not to the guitar player himself. Because if you are asked to feature maybe a guitar solo or a quiet guitar part to everybody, the guitar player himself doesn't need that because he hears himself loud and clear anyway. Same goes for bass players, keyboard players. I wouldn't do it on vocals. First of all, there's no vocal solo. Vocal is always solo. And if you run into feedback problems, you want to be able to reduce that signal everywhere. The one exception might be if, let's say, the guitar player sings lead vocal on one song. Then for that song, everybody will need him louder than usually. That would be a scenario where this pre-post thing makes sense for a vocal. A big change in your setup will be if you're running in-ear monitoring, and now everybody wants reverb. If you're mixing monitors from front of house, maybe the lead singer asks for a little reverb, but that's usually it. I never had a band complaining about not having set up monitor reverbs for everybody. The problem is, in monitors you need 1 reverb unit for each musician who wants reverb. You can't share reverbs. Because let's say the singer wants some reverb on his vocal, and so does the guitar player. But now, if you use the same reverb, now the lead singer hears the voice of the guitar player through his reverb. And if the guitar player asks for more reverb, this will now also affect the monitor signal of the singer. So that doesn't work. So you need 1 reverb unit for each musician who wants reverb. And that can become a monster if you have a lot of musicians. I remember when I did this all-star band Cellmates a few years ago, that monitor guy needed a wave server just in order to have more reverb units. So let's get to the workflow. Of course, if you're mixing just monitors, it will be a lot more dynamic. There will be a lot more going on. Because if you're mixing monitors from front of house, it will most likely be a very static mix, which you do during sound check, and it stays like it is. And most bands will live with that monitor mix that they dialed in during sound check, unless something is really annoyingly wrong. then they might ask you to do a change. But usually they will just live with what they have. Of course, now the band expects your full attention the entire time, and rightfully so. And they will have a lot more wishes for changes throughout the show. And they might also ask you to feature solos or quiet parts of a certain instrument. So a lot more action. And of course, unlike doing it from front of house, you will listen to your mixes. And the normal way is you listen to the lead singer the entire time and only switch to other mixes if some other band members asks for something. And if you do that long enough, and maybe if you even permanently work with the same band, listening to the mix the entire time, you will come to a point when you hear problems earlier than the musician himself. You hear that this guitar is a little bit too loud for the singer, and you reduce it before he even notices. That's one of the things that make a good monitor engineer. And another big part is mixing monitors is a lot more about psychology than mixing front of house. Your personality plays a much bigger role. And the way you get on with people and the way you treat musicians and musicians treat you, there's a lot more interaction. So please, from your very first time as a monitor engineer, try not to be this submissive servant kind of person. Try to show some self-confidence, maybe fake it till you make it. But it's really important, because then people will have more respect for you, they will trust you more, even if there are problems, and they will just in general treat you better. I mean, I've seen so many monitor engineers, even from famous bands, that lived in hell. They were in sheer terror the entire time, and the musicians were all over them, treating them really badly. So don't become that type of monitor engineer. It may be difficult at the beginning, admittedly, but at least have that in the back of your mind. As a monitor engineer, it's really crucial how you hold yourself and how you approach people. Another big part of mixing monitors is of course communication. And a very good way to communicate is by gestures. Many bands do it anyway, because if you imagine in the middle of a song, in between his lyrics, the singer asks for more guitar. You might just miss that or not understand it. Same if the guitar player says something to you through his microphone during the show. Sometimes very hard to understand, especially if you don't speak the same mother language. So it's a lot easier if you establish some system. The singer wants the guitar louder. He points at the guitar player, maybe points at his wedge, if there's maybe also side fills or something, and goes, or maybe a little louder, or a little, or way louder. That's done in a split second. Manfred Mann used to number his musicians, so meant I need more bass guitar. So try to establish something like that. It makes everybody's life a lot easier. And that's pretty much what I can think of, telling you about the difference between mixing monitors from front of house and mixing monitors from the side of the stage. If I forgot something, let me know. And again, of course, comments and questions in the comment section. If you have special questions, or if you're stuck somehow and can't really pinpoint it, whatever it is, consider booking yourself a coaching call. And please like and subscribe. That's it for today. I see you around. Bye-bye.